Good morning, good afternoon to you all, to our panelists, dedicated colleagues, and everybody that is joining us today. I am Ziad Alexander Hayek. I am the president of the World Association of PPP Units and Professionals, and it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the sixth session of our enlightening series on small-scale public-private partnerships, which we are doing in partnership with the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE. As we proceed with our biweekly meetings in 2024, our commitments to leveraging small-scale PPP for achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals continues to deepen. Our journey commenced with an in-depth look at the fundamentals and obstacles of small-scale PPPs, leading to a comprehensive dialogue on creative solutions and tangible results from these initiatives. Following that, we delved into the essential regulatory frameworks underpinning these partnerships. In our last session, we analyzed small-scale PPP case study projects in solid waste management, integrated water and sanitation, and primary healthcare, drawing on valuable lessons from the implementation and impact. Today, we are set to embark on another exciting journey as we delve into this the second session on presentation of case studies, and we will have a third one in 2 weeks' time on April 26. This session aims to showcase real-world examples of small-scale PPPs, dissecting their journey from inception to completion. We will analyze the successes, learn from the setbacks, and extract valuable lessons that can guide future endeavors in this field. So thank you again for joining us in this pivotal exploration. We continue to chart our course for sustainable development and equitable growth through small-scale PPPs with an excellent panel that will be introduced to you shortly. We're delighted and honored to have these distinguished experts join us today to share their experiences. Please start. I will start by asking you to welcome Tony Bonici, our moderator for today's session. Tony leads the Public-Private Partnerships and Sustainable Finance in Infrastructure Development Program at the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE, which is based in Geneva, as you all know. He helps governments to undertake successful PPPs and infrastructure projects in support of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Under Tony's leadership, a number of UNECE PPP flag initiatives were developed and successfully deployed, including the peers sustainability methodology and standard on PPP concession legal framework. I'm always delighted and find Tony to be a truly impressive person in our field and wonderful to have him. Before joining the United Nations, Tony was a member of the Diplomatic Service of Malta between 1991 and 2006. He served as a senior diplomat in various countries, including as consul of the embassy in Rome, as a delegate to the UN and International Organization Permanent Mission in Geneva, and as the Trade Economic Counselor on the High Commission in London, United Kingdom.
Yeah, I think I need to take it over from here. I think Ziad is having some technical issues. He did alert me a little bit earlier in case he has connection problems for me to take over. So thank you, Ziad. Thank you everyone for the introduction and for the warm welcome. It's an honor to guide you all through today's session, and a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists and to all participants joining us online today. In today's session, we focus on some real-world implementation of PPP projects, some real case studies. And these are case studies that offer a comprehensive view of these kind of partnerships in practice. So I hope it will be a very practical session today. We are fortunate, very lucky to have a panel of experienced professionals who will share with us their insights through these case studies and then participate in a discussion. providing their expert viewpoints and also analysis. I urge everyone to engage actively, as your inquiries and insights will greatly enhance our shared learning journey. So please avail yourself of the chat option to post questions and comments in the Q&A section of our screen, and use that feature to connect with other attendees and share your ideas. Let's start with our first case study presentation, and please welcome our first speaker, Ekaterina. Ekaterina has over 25 years of experience in public finance, strategic planning, and PPPs. She has been since 2009 the head of the PPP unit of her country, Lithuania. Her expertise lies in managing public investment programs, conducting cost-benefit analysis, and assessing risks. Previously, she held managerial roles in Lithuanian ministries, focusing on strategic finance, management, and national development programs. Ekaterina holds a master's degree in geophysics and certificates in business administration at PPP from prestigious institutions. She will set the stage for us today. Please, Ekaterina, the floor is yours for your presentation, and you have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Tony, for your kind presentation, and good morning and good afternoon for all participants and colleagues. I'm starting to share my screen. Please let me know whether you can see it, my slides.
Yes, we can, Ekaterina. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm very much appreciate the possibility to speak today and to present our experience in the small-scale PPP projects implementation. And as you can see, I am from Lithuania, and specific situation of our country is that 35 years ago, we did not have private investors, private service providers, and financial markets at all. And the use of PPP was introduced only in 1996. And since that year, we have already about 70 PPP contracts. But we are a rather small country, and with a small economy, and majority of our PPP projects are implemented by municipalities. So the size of project, capital value of project is very small. You can see from the statistics that the average is about 8 to 10 million euros. And so very small scale PPP in the underdevelopment financial market without long tradition of good cooperation between public and private sector. It is our daily challenge and daily life. And very quickly after the first attempt to implement the PPP project with a size lower than 5 million euro, we understood that standalone project is extremely expensive for both parties. As for public partner, because of the high costs of the competence and the expertise to develop the project and to run the selection procedure, and as well for the private partner because of the very high entrance cost. Each partner needs to develop the specific financial model, the unique risk sharing case, and the case when you have the 1 million investment costs and the need to develop the entire new model. It is very, very, very expensive. So several years, last years, we were already looking for the possibility to extend the scope of PPP to make it attractive for investor and to decrease as much as possible the administrative efforts and transaction costs for the public partners. And I will present you today 3 cases of our attempts to join, to merge the project or to group them, seeking the different objectives. So the first case, probably you know this case, and it was presented last year in the Athens in the forum of UNESCO. We also received some award for this project as for the high compliance with SDG calls. But the idea was to improve quality and accessibility of formal and non-formal education, to reduce energy consumption, and the actions of the service outputs were to build the new preschool and primary school facilities, to renew and expand the existing secondary school facility in order to meet the growing needs of the population, also to increase the energy efficiency level of existing buildings, and to expand and to modernize the sport facility for the communities of small towns. Project is already completed and functional since the year 2022. Duration is rather small. It's only 2 years of construction and 13 years of the operation period. The joint investment value is only 13.5 million, still small. Financial model is financed 75% by bank loan and the remaining amount by the investor itself. And we are proud that here in this project we achieved very low rate on the return of investment after the long negotiation with the partner. And the payment model is availability payment. If to comment the key performance indicators, they were addressing the technical norms and standards of the buildings, the functioning of the building systems like heating, sanitary, watering, and other systems, because it is the assets to be used by children, the safety and security the KPIs are also very important, and the maintenance KPIs are also included in the set. What kind of risks we met? It was our first grouping case, and we immediately faced all the additional risks which are coming together with the grouping exercise. So we met here the absence of real ownership for the project, because there were different small cities, different directors, administrations, communities, and it was a strong need to build them together, to find the common language for the conversation. And we as a competence center did a big and hard job in order to manage all this process of communication and to join the people. Also, we had the different location of the assets, so it was quite a challenge for the private partner. The residual risk value was very high because we were trying to join the new building with the depreciated building with the hidden defects. And the risk was assessed very high by the private partner, but have, of course, the insufficient competence of the municipality. We also faced all possible risks on our way, including political risks as the changing of the municipality elected members. We also faced the redistribution of the function between city and region level. So everything what was possible to happen happened. And the main probably lessons for us was that we need a very strong support to the municipality to go through all these processes and to manage all these challenges. So we were supporting them as much as we were capable to do and have the time and money for this help. Another case is slightly bit different. It is also about educational and community projects. And the project is what is initiated by the Klaipėda region municipality, because Klaipėda was a growing seaport city, and several years ago, young families and young people started to move out of the city to the suburbs, to the small resort towns, and the population was growing exponentially, and the municipality was not capable to meet the needs of the population for the services, for the social services, educational services. So the municipality came with the idea to have the PPP project and to develop the integrated facility to cover all growing needs and to combine several services under one roof. They decided to develop the complex, which would consist of school and kindergarten, infrastructure for the informal education, also develop the facilities for the various community, cultural and sports events, develop outdoor playgrounds. The size of project was quite similar to the Kaunas project, and the combination of the financial source was also similar. Key performance indicators also correspond to the previous project, but the risks here were quite different. It was the new facility, but joining the different type of services with a different requirement. And here we faced that different services bring different requirements for use and safety under the same roof, the different working hour for different services. We also faced the high competition by all users for the common spaces. They were fighting for the hours and the priorities for the use of this building. So the grouping was with a different idea, but also with the list of new risks and the new challenges to be managed. And the third one case, it is the attempt to join several buildings under the one energy efficiency project. Again, the building are educational buildings, 4 schools and 1 kindergarten in another small town. But you might know that energy efficiency is a very serious European Union target, and we have the common and national energy consumption reduction target and energy saving targets. So these renovation projects for the public buildings, they are very important, and they are presenting a very high needs for investments, together with the high potential for application of the PPP, just because they have very tangible possibility to transfer the energy saving risk, pay for the results of saving, and to recover the investment of the future saving from the future savings. So the picture is very suitable for the PPP, but we did not manage, unfortunately, to get to the contract with the project after long negotiation, and also faced a lot of difficult risks and challenges on the way, starting with a very long preparation project, because we needed to consult each community, each school, each group, each administration accordingly. We need to reallocate the children from the school during the renovation program. It need to be solved before the renovation started. Okay, again, it was a very high risk of hidden defects in different buildings, and the risks was assessed very, very high by the private investors. So the interest of the market was very low, but the competence in the municipality to manage these challenges and to cope with these risks was not sufficient. But from each of these exercises, we were coming out with the certain lessons, and we decided that for renovation programs, for the renovation projects, we need to do the homework first. We need to go for the inventarization and classification of the buildings and the assets, to group them, and according to the grouping, to develop the diversified standards for renovation packages. Then we need to put some efforts to the development of the energy saving company market, because it was very new activity in our case, and the market did not understand properly what it is about to buy, to sell the energy saving and to receive the return on the basis of safe energy. And the PPP also decided it could be suitable only in the cases when we have significant saving, and we have significant amount of saving of the money in future, and the scope of risk is quite similar. So we have the homogeneous group with the same risks to be transferred to one private partner. And our latest attempt to finish my presentation was the new idea several years ago. It was developed together with Vilnius municipality. When Vilnius municipality, it's the capital of Lithuania, came to us with the perfect idea to develop and to run the complex schools modernization program in the city, aiming at the same time the number of the problems to be solved. First of all, it was depreciated infrastructure, high exploitation and energy cost. Secondary, it was mismatch of modern education approach in terms of content with the old school building standards. Third, it was the need to optimize service delivery in order to match better demand and supply across the city. And for that moment, we already had certain experience at national level for the national policy police offices across the country. It was a national program with the inbuilt elements of PPP. We had the national defense program with the inbuilt elements of PPP, and we were very happy when municipality approached us with the same programming view, thinking about the entire infrastructure and the logical place of PPP application within this infrastructure program. And here we started with the development of the modern school model. School which would be flexible, adaptable, and adjustable for the changing needs and the new content of the education. And the model was developed involving all stakeholders, the researchers, architects, teachers, parents, children, Ministry of Education were working together to develop that model. And at the latest stages, it was planned to assess the entire infrastructure and to decide what kind of upgrading is needed for each school, for which level, and to then assign to define to in which extent and where for which projects we can apply the PPP model within this entire program. But unfortunately, here the life happened and the election came and the management was changed in the Vilnius municipality and the project was put on the hold. But we again came out with the lessons from this experiment. We have now the understanding what means for us programming approach, seeing the broad picture of the infrastructure development and PPP place within this development program. We also developed the standard schools upgrading purchase procurement documents. So the number of results are now in our total list of models, instruments and products, and we could offer them and go ahead working with municipality when they decide that it's time to come again to the problem solving, because problem was not solved, just was postponed and now it's on hold. So that is more or less all I wanted to share with you today, and we'll be happy to discuss with you later and to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina. There is a question by the audience, which I will direct to you a little bit later. But thank you very much for presenting us the Kaunas school project. And as you said, it has actually did won a prize last year at the PPP Forum for its contribution to circular economy. And I was privileged to visit the project last year in October, and I was very impressed by the video that you prepared. So I encourage all the audience to look at the video, which I'm sure that we can share after the session. So now let us move on. But I will come back to you with the question from the audience about bundling. But let me first go to the next speaker, and let me introduce Jelena Tadic. So Jelena is a political scientist in international affairs, faculty of political sciences in Belgrade. She has held senior positions in state administration in various ministries, health, regional development, and others. She has experience with international organizations, with IFIs, World Bank, EBRD, and since 2015, she has been dealing with PPP projects as the executive director of PPP Investments Limited. And Jelena was also one of the judges in the jury that we have set up last year to review a number of projects, including I believe the one that Ekaterina just presented. So Jelena, the floor is yours. You have 15 minutes to present your case study.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Good afternoon to everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Jelena Tadic. I'm a PPP consultant from Serbia and the executive director of consulting company PPP Investment. Our company has prepared over 50 PPP projects so far. Most of these projects are so-called small scale. So we can say that we prefer small scale projects for the reason that we, as we like to say, their economic value is much higher than their financial value. In fact, the benefits that the end users have from small-scale projects are enormous because they establish and improve services that are of vital importance of the local population. The most represented small-scale projects in Serbia are projects of the reconstruction and maintenance of public lighting. Over 50 municipalities in Serbia have concluded a long-term public contract for the reconstruction and maintenance of public lighting according to the PPP model. Today, I will present you a project of reconstruction, rationalization, and maintenance of public lighting on the territory of the municipality of Požega. The reason why we choose this project why we choose these projects are that the project has been implemented for several years, so the results are fully visible. And the second reason is that we wanted to show the importance of the NPV, net present value. So let me start now with the presentation. Just a moment. Okay. So, as I said, the location of the project is the municipality of Požega, located in the western Serbia. The duration of the project is 13 years. The public partner is municipality of Požega, and the private partner is a smart energy investment company from Serbia. So the project is in just a moment. When we talk about the roles and responsibilities, public partner has the obligation of selection of private partner, supervision and fee payment, and the obligation of the private partner are, of course, financial investments, works, system maintenance, reporting, and of course, problem solving. This project is characteristic for its public procurement procedure, and it's a good example of how important the quality of equipment and the MPV is. So the contract has been awarded to the bidder who submitted the most economically advantageous offer based on the best value for money. The elements of the award criteria were price in the form of the net present value of the total contract costs, maximum 90 points, and quality in terms of annual electricity consumption savings, maximum 10 points. This PPP is contractual, and we use here this design, build, finance, and transfer operate model. As I said, the duration of the contract is 13 years. The total project costs in total for 13 years are approximately 1.9 million euro, and this amount represents the total compensation that public partner shall pay to the private partner for the 13 years. The costs include the purchase of LED luminaries, their installation, maintenance, expenses, financing, and of course, insurance. Capex in this project is 1,350,000 euro. Funding sources are totally private sources. Financial structure and mechanism, the project is financed exclusively through the achieved savings realized by implementing the project. The private partner covers the entire project costs, and while the public partner pays the private partner a fee from the realized from the achieved savings. Risk, when you talk about risk allocation, there are a few risks, as you know, financial risks, operational risk, and regulatory risks. The risks are divided in a way that the private partner assumes a certain portion of the risks related to costs arising from financial risks, while the public partner bears the risk associated with the changes, for example, in the regulatory environment. Key performance indicator in these projects are, of course, net present value of contract costs, energy consumption savings after replacement of luminaries, and the reduction in maintenance costs of public lighting system. As you see, we have this table here where you can see what happened during the tender procedure. And this is what I mentioned before, that the net present value is the best indicator and evaluator of the bid because it considers the time value of money, providing a comprehensive assessment of the bid, financial viability by considering both the volume and timing of cash flows. When submitting a bid in the public procurement process, company Smart Energy Investment faced competition from some company bidder one, and this company offered an annual basic fee lower than the fee proposed by Smart Energy Investment, but the net present value was lower. This means they achieved much lower electricity consumption savings compared to Smart Energy Investment. Although their fee was lower, their offer was not high quality, which was directly reflected on the net present value. This bidder one company guaranteed an annual electricity consumption savings of 1.8 million kilowatt per hour, compared to Smart Energy Investments guarantee of 1.96 million kilowatt per hour. Due to the guaranteed lower electricity consumption savings, there would also be lower financial savings in electricity costs. Since the compensation to the private partner is exclusively paid from achieved savings, the compensation that public partner would pay to this bidder one company must be lower compared to the compensation received by Smart Energy Investment. Although a lower fee may seem like a more favorable offer at first, the quality of the offer was best demonstrated by the MPV, which amounts to around 14,000 for the bidder one, compared to around 70,000 for Smart Energy Investment. Although Smart Energy Investment offered a higher fee, the offer was a high quality as it achieves greater savings in electricity consumption, resulting in a larger savings in the public partner's budget. And meanwhile, since the conclusion of the public contract in 2018, there has been an increase in the electricity price. If the reconstruction of the public lighting had not been carried out, the costs for the public partner would have been significantly increased. So the actual savings in costs achieved by the public partner are higher than guaranteed. If the municipality of Portugal had chosen the bid from the bidder one company, financial savings for the past few years would have been around 200,000 euros due to the electricity price increase, while by accepting the better bid with a higher MPV value, the municipality achieved savings around 250,000 euro. This represents a difference of almost 50,000 euro for the public partner. Just a moment. Okay. The entire process of preparing the project proposal and selecting a private partner proceeded in accordance with the law on PPP and concessions and the law on public procurement in Serbia. The public contract is concluded as an energy service agreement model for the implementation of measures to improve energy efficiency and achieve savings in operational costs of public lighting when users are from the public sector, which is an integral part of the regulation on determining the model of energy service contracts for the implementation of measures to improve energy efficiency when users are from the public sector. Phases of project development milestones achieved. The public contract was concluded on October 18, 2018, while the implementation period of the new LED luminaries was completed on April 2019. A total luminaries around 350 luminaries were implemented. With the completion of the implementation period, the warranty period started, and currently 5 out of 13 years of the public contract have elapsed. When we talk about stakeholder engagement, as in all our projects, several stakeholders are involved in the entire PPP process. Of course, local community, government authorities, utility companies, environmental groups, contractors and suppliers, financial institutions and investors, and of course, NGOs. The economic benefits from this project is utilizing energy efficient LED luminaries significantly decrease electricity consumption and costs for the local government, improved economic productivity, better lighting contribute to enhanced safety and comfort in the local community, potentially stimulating activities, and the job creation, reconstruction and maintenance projects create temporary or permanent employment opportunities for local residents, including jobs in installation, maintenance, and management of the public lighting system. Social benefits are effective lighting of public spaces, reduce the risk of crime and accidents, making the local community safer for residents and visitors. Also improved lighting visibility and comfort for pedestrians and drivers, reducing the risk of injuries and accidents. And environmental benefits are decreased carbon dioxide emissions and other harmful gases, contributing to environmental preservation. Environmental consideration, implementing LED luminaries known for their high energy efficiency and long lifespan can significantly reduce electricity consumption and, of course, greenhouse gas emissions around 80%. What is important more to say is light pollution reduction. The project involves strategies to control light pollution, such as a proper light direction and the use of luminaries with the lower light emission towards the sky, aiming to mitigate the negative impact on the nocturnal landscape and wildlife. What are the challenges and the solutions? Challenges, of course, ensuring the long-term sustainability and maintenance of the lighting infrastructure. Solution, developing a comprehensive maintenance plan and establishing partnership with the maintenance providers help to ensure the ongoing operation and the sustainability of the lighting system. Replacement of existing luminaries with the LED lights. Main service and outputs, we can say the main service of the project is the replacement of outdated luminaries in the public lighting with the new LED to improve energy efficiency and reduce operational costs. System maintains, providing maintenance services for the public lighting system, including routine maintenance, repairs, parts replacement, and performance monitoring. Analytical reports, generating analytical reports on energy consumption, system performance, savings, and other relevant indicators to enable project progress tracking and identify potential improvements. When we talk about tariffs and pricing mechanism, the public partner achieves financial savings in operational costs of operating the public lighting system, after which 94% of its savings is paid to the private partner as a compensation for the implemented energy saving measures. The guaranteed annual savings of operational costs amount to around 160,000 euro, which means that the private partner receives around 150,000 euro as fee, while the remaining amount represents the net financial savings in the public partner's budget. During the realization of the public contract, there has been an increase in the price of electricity, resulting in actual financial savings for the public partner being increased due to the reconstruction of the public lighting system. Otherwise, electricity costs would have been higher than at the time of signing the public contract. Therefore, the public partner achieves additional financial savings of approximately 120,000 euro. Silent features of the projects: transition to LED lighting, of course, public-private partnership, guaranteed savings, long-term sustainability, emphasizing the long-term sustainability through the use of environmentally friendly LED lighting, which not only reduces energy consumption, but also contributes to lower carbon emissions and environmental preservation. Innovation and technology, incorporation of innovative technologies and smart lighting solutions to optimize energy usage, enhance system performance, and improve overall efficiency. That's it from me now.
Thank you very much, Yelena, and very, very impressive. And I'm also a bit familiar with this project. And as you mentioned at the beginning, it's a small project, but it's not what the project is worth in terms of capex, but it's what it did to the economy. And hopefully also to the society and to the environment. So those are the three aspects that we, of course, going forward, we need to reflect a little bit on how these projects are contributing to. Now let us move to the next speaker, and it gives me great pleasure, of course, to introduce Pedro Neves from Portugal. I'm sure most of you know Pedro. He's a specialist in sustainable development, designing development policies, and business architecture through public-private partnerships. In 2010, he founded Global Solutions for You, and its CEO. And throughout his career, he managed 10 billion euros worth of projects in many cities and countries. He is also a visiting professor, and he teaches in 9 countries and has published works in 10 languages. And Pedro has been very instrumental in collecting case studies over the years for UNECE, and which we have in a compendium. And I believe that the case that he is presenting us today is also in this compendium. Over to you, Pedro. You have 15 minutes, please, from now.
Thank you, Tony. And it's a great pleasure for me to be here with you, with you all, with Jekaterina and Jelena, and I've just seen a message from Jaber from the academic chapter of WAP. And it's great to see that all this knowledge is also being collected to be exposed there and at UNECE. Normally, most of you know me from collecting case studies. This time, I'll be sharing with you a program that I was in charge of putting together and implementing. And my idea to share with you is, we are now very much involved also with UNECE on understanding how to take PPPs out of the classroom. And the question for this year is, why aren't PPPs growing more and faster? And so basically, I'm going to address these small-scale PPPs with my experience, but at the same time trying to answer these questions. I'm going to talk with you about reinventing our common purpose. I believe the key issue is motivation. So how do we design and create motivation for stakeholders to support, for the civil society to support, but at the same time for investors and developers and public officials to be committed to make it happen? And then how are we going to design policies aligned with sustainable development to make sure that the future we want is the future that we are transforming, and therefore PPPs can be, in my opinion, they are the best way to achieve the SDGs. And then I'm going to also to bring in the urban and institutional business architecture. So how do we transform something that is good for the people and the planet into sustainable business? And at the end, I will share with you the economic and financial KPIs, mainly the financial KPIs. So we are in Lisbon, and we are in Lisbon at this time. We are in Lisbon in the year 2000, and we are explaining and promoting the city that has supported the development of Expo 98. So if you want, in very simple terms, we had a very big party showing the world that Portugal is a great place to visit, and then we have to pay for the party. And to pay for the party, we have to create a city around the Expo site. And what I'm going to share with you is how did we create this city to make sure that the exposition made sense. And so the whole point is about creating a narrative. And there could be a lot of places to have this new location, but the idea was to have the location of the expo at the worst place possible in Lisbon, still by the river, so that we could provide something new for the people and at the same time to cure and protect the planet. And so it was about bringing people back. It was about breaking the poverty path, and it was at the same time to treat the environmental nightmare that we had in this area. So in '93, this was one of the worst areas. We had a lot of environmental pathologies. We had a lot of industry that was not taking care of the planet. But we also had social pathologies, like we had prostitution, we had drugs, we had a lot of inequality in this area. And the whole idea was to, okay, we have to review the whole thing. And so the government, aligned with the city, started by cleaning the whole thing. And then in '98, we had the expo taking place. And then by 2001, and as you can see, we already had a city that was very much transformed. What I'm going to share with you is not going to be the program for the whole city, is going to be the PPP program. And the PPP program is a group of small-scale PPPs that took place to make sure that the whole city would happen. So what we have here, and I was watching one of the questions, is grouping small PPPs into a PPP program to make it happen. And so the most one very important point is that to understand that a traditional master plan, we like to call it the first generation master planning, is about zoning and capacity building. What type of buildings can we build, and how many floors can we build? And what we did was basically to come up and have on top of this traditional first generation master planning, to have a fourth generation master planning, which is about having a economic prosperity. So a master plan is a cash printing machine, because we are telling the investors and developers how much we can build. It's also a way to create jobs, and it's also a way to measure what are we doing to the planet. And so we went from the first generation master planning to the fourth generation master planning. And this means that we had an integrated perspective about urban transformation, and we wanted to have this urban transformation included on the program. The second thing that it was very important for us in terms of urban business architecture was to understand that people do not, when we look into urban development, people do not pay for roads, do not pay for metro stations, even water, communications. It balances out, but it's not a cash machine. Then if we have public health, education, safety, all these are cost projects. And then we have real estate. And out of real estate, we can have cash plus coming in. And so the idea was to have cash positive paying for the cash negative. And so having a vision about the future on how are we going to have the city that we want, and how are we going to have real estate paying for everything else, paying for public space, paying for schools, paying for health, and so on. Then the question was about, okay, so we know that we want a sustainable city. We know that real estate at the end is going to be the economic and financial driver to make this happen. So now we need to organize institutional, so rules of the game, where we are going to have organizations that are going to understand that we have to support the public interest, but we have to attract capital providers and developers to make it happen. And so the point was, there was a public entity, so there was, if you want, a state-owned enterprise that started the project. These state-owned enterprises had to fix and had to deal with civil society organizations, had to deal with all types of line ministers, obviously very important, with the Minister of Finance, and therefore with central governments. Very important. We had to bring in the Court of Auditors from day one when we started this program, because it was impossible to imagine not telling the private sector that the whole thing was had not zero political risk, but the political risk was very much mitigated. And at the same time, because we had to deal also with the municipality. And so the whole thing was about preparing the umbrella and making sure that the umbrella understood the operation. And then when we had this, then we could have the PPP unit for urban development. And what was interesting for us was that we created the SPVs and we designed the SPVs. So at this time, I was working for the government, and working with the government, we created the SPVs. This means that we created the articles of association of each SPV, and we also created the shareholders agreement for each SPV, and we defined what were the flexibility within the shareholder agreement that we could negotiate with the private sector. Very important. We also designed the economic and financial models. And so basically, we had very much a clear idea on what we wanted to do. And for this reason, when we put the projects, the business on the market, what we had was a call for partners. And so we had a call for partners where we were talking with capital providers, we were talking with private partners, and actually we are putting them all together. And we were bringing them into the SPV. And this was very important because this made the transaction cost go down very fast, because that the period for negotiation was very short, because we pretty much had the SPV geometry defined, and we had the risk sharing, the profit sharing pretty much envisioned, and we could discuss and see what type of partners we were looking for and make this match according to the needs and according to the speed that we wanted to develop. One thing that was very important in terms of this business architecture was, as I mentioned, the call for partners. And the call for partners is actually something that we started this in the year 2000, 2001. But and now I see it also in Scotland and in Wales. which is to define that the SPV, the state-owned entity or the ministry or the municipality has equity in the SPV. And this makes it very simple. So instead of having a implicit model, we have an institutional PPP where we have a joint venture, where we have a PPP where the public sector has equity. Because it has equity, it has board members. I was either the managing director or the chairman of the SPV. And then the private sector would also have their own directors. And this was very important because every time we would have a conflict, 99% of the conflicts would be dealt at the board member. So we would not need too much to go into lawyers and asking lawyers to see what was good or bad for each party. We would see we had a common objective, we had a common goal. We wanted to make sure that the project was good. We wanted to make sure that the employees of the were taken care properly. We were making sure that the choice of the equipment was done to follow environmental goals, and at the same time we knew and we needed to have the financial requirements to be respected. Basically, this allowed us to have a very solid, so we on this program we had over 10 projects, and so we can divide this, but basically we had on a 50-50 approach. It was not a 50-50 approach because we wanted the SPVs to be the PPPs to be more private than public, so that it would be considered a private company with public participation. But considering a 50-50 approach or 49-51 approach, we would have the private partner investing 90 million in equity, and this was again for the program. We had the public partner investing 19 million for the equity, and these are the figures that we presented to the tax authority in Portugal. And the return to the private partner was 37 million. So you can see a return on equity was very interesting for the private partners. The same return on equity was applied to the PPP unit, and on top of the PPP business, because we were fabricating land. So the land was created by the public sector. We were acquiring the land from the public sector. And so the city was making 54 million out of the land sale. And on top of that, and I believe this is a very important point that we are not considering, I do not see this in a lot of analysis on PPPs. We also had the return on central government taxes of 28 million and the return to the municipality on 12 million. And so basically what we see here is that we are designing business for the private sector to participate. We are making a return, the same type of return to the public sector as we are making to the private, but on top of it, we are still fabricating land and we are increasing the national fiscal space, the national and the municipal fiscal space. And so this is my presentation, and I'll be looking forward for any challenges or questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for presenting us this very interesting presentation. The case study that you just presented is, when you look at the capex, is a little bit, bigger, I would say, in terms of investment to the previous ones. But it's still, but this, I think, one of the questions we had on the chat is, what is the threshold for a small scale? I'm not sure that there is a threshold for a small scale, and I believe that there is already a discussion that there has been one of the webinars dedicated to this discussion, and I encourage the person who asked this question to please go back and review a little bit the video, the recording of that particular webinar of a few weeks ago. But I don't think that there is an answer to that. It could be 100,000. It could be several million dollars or euros. Now I wanted to use the next, I would say, 20 minutes or so, or maybe even 25 minutes, to have a debate among the panel. And I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you, but then I wanted also to pick up some of the questions that we have on the chat. So my first question to the panelists, and maybe I can start with Pedro and go backwards to Jelena and then Yekaterina, is the following. So keeping transaction costs down seem to be a key consideration for small scale PPPs, given the size, especially when we're talking about a project which is less than, I would say, 3 million or 5 million euros. So but the question is, how, in your view, can we keep the costs down while ensuring that these projects are sustainable and contributing to the sustainable development goals from the very beginning, so from the design stage all the way through the implementation stage? So Pedro, in a couple of minutes, and then moving on to Jelena, and then Yekaterina, if she wants to chip in as well.
Thank you, Tony. One of the things that I think it's very important is the transaction cost and the pre-development cost, and they're very much integrated. And so the whole thing is the best way to keep them down and to accelerate PPP implementation is to have very strong public PPP teams, and to have a very clear PPP vision and purpose. And then to build an environment of trust, where we spend a lot of time, and where we spend, and time here means consultants that normally are very expensive and that and therefore cost a lot of money, is on checking, making due diligence. And so the faster it is to understand where we are, and the faster it is to understand and to put together an economic model that is attractable by investors, by developers, the easier it is to conclude, to reach financial close and to start. And so this was the point for us, to have a program, and then to make sure that each project was scalable and replicable. And it could be not only scalable and replicable in Lisbon, but it could be, because actually this program, then we start exploring this project abroad. So we wanted to create a model that was scalable and replicable out in a lot of different places. But at the same time, and very important, making the investors, local investors, understand that they could have a local small presence, but at the same time, they could team up with larger capital providers.
Thank you, Pedro. Let us now move to Jelena.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
When we talk about a developing phase of the project, I completely agree with Pedro. But when we talk about the implementation phase, according to the lower costs and at the same time to keep quality sustainable and the whole project sustainable, I think it's that is very easy to answer this question, especially through the example I presented today. Therefore, when we talk about energy, for example, energy efficiency projects, especially in developing countries like Serbia, which is a huge consumer of energy with outdated technology, we can say that the application of new technologies is something that guarantees quality and savings also. But not any new technology. As we all know, there is a course of differences in the quality of the manufacturers. That's why our projects, for example, in public lighting, we use only renewed lamp manufacturers such as Philips, Zumtobel, Schroeder, etc. And the better quality, the longer manufacturer's warranty, and the fewer failures that represent a cost for the private partners. LED technology saved about 80% of energy, and the same amount of money goes in the municipality budget. So measured and optimized solutions and management can maintain a high quality project while reducing costs in total.
Thank you, Yelena. I wonder, Ekaterina, if you wanted to chip in at this point as well with your thoughts.
Yes, I would like to comment a little bit that PPP as such as a model is actually only the top of the mountain. It is the top of the iceberg, and the real process, the real analysis, and the real preparation start in the much earlier phases. And we need to do all what is possible to solve all the potential risks, to build the wider perspective, to make as much analysis as it possible before we start to approach the market at the PPP phase. In this case, we will remove all the extra risks and all unclear questions from the PPP transaction as such. And at this stage, the PPP unit could also do a lot. For example, in our case, we developing the social economic analysis tools. It's like a semi automatic tools which could remove the big need for the high social economic analysis skills in the municipalities. Well, you need to understand your impact, your benefits which are created to the society, to calculate the potential impact. So it is everything has happened before you go to PPP. When you are thinking about the service, about the concept, about the users, and if you do it before PPP, then in PPP you're only thinking about risk distribution and good procurement management. So our solution was to do as much home job and preparation job before you go to PPP.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Let me now move to my second question, and then we'll find some time to get a couple of questions from the audience. So my second question, maybe I will start with you, Ekaterina, since I have you on screen. And given especially your experience, Lithuania has, for me, is unique in the sense that it's by far the majority of its projects are small scale, which of course create their own challenges, but of course it's very, very unique. So I think a lot of countries can learn from your experience. So if you can share with us some of the key lessons learned throughout your experience that policymakers need to be aware of when doing these kind of projects.
Mm-hmm. First of all, probably it is very important to build the right expectation. And in our case, the absolutely different expectation of public entities was a very serious problem. They were expecting saving, less cost, or all risk on the side of private and on behalf of the public. It is the serious job, difficult job, big responsibility, and whole project life cycle work. You cannot just buy and forget it. So public sector really need to be prepared for this serious exercise and do not expect miracles and the low costs. The first, and second, you really need the strong leadership. If you're working with municipality need to understand what does it need, why is it using PPP, that it will be difficult, but it is the reason why municipality is doing that. in this case, we will have the safe process. We will not be affected by vibration and some external risks, and we will be capable to reach the financial close. And of course, the very strong centralized government support is needed, just because it is very specific and very serious competence which need to be applied maybe once by municipalities. So here it would be great if some national PPP efforts will be put on, and these risks of lack of competence will be removed by some extra or external players at the national PPP unit.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Let me now move to Yelena and then go to Pedro, asking the same question about lessons learned and what policymakers need to be aware of when doing these kind of projects.
I always like to say that Serbia is leader in this region by implementing the PPP model. This is why I think this is one of the reasons is that our government is very aware of the situation in the budget, in the central budget, and also in the local budgets. So Serbia is, as you know, is not a member of the EU, and because of that, we don't have the access to the structure funds, for example. And it's always about the money, the lack of the money, and private capital, private investments are always more than welcome, especially on the local level, because when you have these national projects, you always have, for example, EBRD, EIB, the World Bank who wants to finance those kind of projects. But on the local levels, you have only some here in Serbia, for example, local players who wants to improve some communal activity or whatever on their local level. So I think this is the reason, because municipality also cannot take the credits anymore in Serbia because of the public debt. And this is why we need more and more capital, private capital.
Thank you, Yelena. And last but not least, Pedro.
Yeah, I think the most important from this and to I believe anywhere in the world is to have vision, a vision that is associated with common good. People can easily understand the impact on people, on the quality of life, the impact on the planet. Why are we decarbonizing? Why are we cleaning the water? Why are we doing circular economy? This is crucial. Then the second thing is to have a friendly business environment. I think it's we have to speak profit up front. You know, we have to speak profit sharing, and it's not a sin, and it has to be there. And the third point is about people, and people in this case is the people, the team. And I would say the most important thing is the PPP public team. It has to be highly qualified, and this is very important. We have to invest, and governments have to understand that PPP experts are very valuable. Otherwise, they will go and live and work for the private sector. And so they have to respect them, value them. They have to empower them. You know, the worst thing anyone can have is to start a conversation and people saying, no, I have to go and ask my boss. It doesn't work. People have to be empowered to take decisions. They have to be flexible, and they have to be impact driven. They have to work and be creative and use innovation to achieve the implementation of the project, to put the project flying. And I think all this is possible. But again, the most important thing for all these, I would say, is the highly qualified, recognized, empowered PPP public teams.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for also giving us your thoughts on that question. Let me now refer to some questions that the audience have been putting either on the chat or on the in the questions. And I wanted to focus on a couple that are a bit more generic and less specific. The first one is about bundling. And I wanted to start with Ekaterina for a very particular reason. Many experts that you talk to on small PPPs, they tend to simplify, at least in my view, that, you know, if you have like 3-4 projects by different municipalities within, say, a range of, you know, 50, 60, 80 kilometers, you know, you just put them together and you can just, you know, procure them as a bigger project, and that would attract the private investor into that particular project. It looks easy and a simple solution for me, but I know that there are, you know, issues that perhaps need to be addressed. And so my question, the question from the audience is it more efficient to put together several small projects in one group and assign them to one company? And I wanted to start with Ekaterina, and then maybe go to Pedro and then to Jelena.
Thank the audience very much for the question. It is really very sensible question, and I was trying to present today that not everything is sweet and light in this bundling story, and you need to be very clever and very reasonable why bundling for grouping the projects, and you can find the risks in any, you know, aspects of this bundling. Territory could be the risk, different state of buildings, this residual value could be the risk, different interest of the owners of the buildings could be the risk. So you really need to do the serious preparational job to understand whether the needs and the potential and the situation is quite homogeneous and could be joined in order to remove all these unexpected risks, because each new aspect of risk will bring you new costs to the projects, and the private investor, they are not only looking for the big sum to be announced for the procurement, but especially for the risks they will face in this case, which could be hardly managed. It could be potential conflicts, it could be misunderstanding between all these groups projects. So everything will be assessed, calculated, and we will receive the bill in the tender, which will surprise you quite unexpectedly, and you will see that it is not much cheaper. So my answer is yes, it is possible and useful, but when you can build the clear set of projects which could be safely moved to the grouping without adding some additional risks for this procurement.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Let me turn to Pedro next, and then Jelena.
Yeah, I think definitely there is a economy of scale is important on one hand, and therefore it's important that at national and even municipal level people think. I think it's important that we think that, you know, PPPs at the end, they are basically grouping capital, equity and debt on one hand. On the other hand, they are grouping construction, developers, and then on the other hand, technology. And if we have a vision for the city, even if the different projects cover different aspects, for instance, for capital providers, it's very good. You know, they can put money on information technology, on health, on education, and even contractors, if they know what's coming, they can prepare themselves. And so it's really a question of organizing the future and presenting the future and making people believe that this is a good place to invest. One very important point is to always, in my opinion, always start with local players, local capital providers, local contractors, so that they understand that they are part of the game. It's not organizing things for the others, it's organizing things for them. And so, but yes, it's very important to have a vision for the future that groups multiple challenges and that different partners can play different roles in these different projects.
Thank you, Pedro. Let me move on quickly to Jelena, because I wanted to have another question, and we have 10 minutes before we conclude. So Jelena, if you have any views on bundling that you wanted to share with the audience. I wonder if Jelena is still with us. Yeah, she is with us. No problem. Maybe Jelena is having some technical issues.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, Jelena. So the question is about bundling. Is it more efficient? So the question is it more efficient to put together several small projects in one group and assign them to one company? And here we're not necessarily talking within the same municipality. It could be, neighboring municipalities. So is it as simple as that, or there are other broader issues of a political nature, of a legal nature, perhaps that, even some municipalities are not allowed to offer services to citizens outside their remit. You have municipalities of different political parties that they don't even want to talk to each other. Imagine, you ask them to provide services and to join forces towards a common goal. So, Jelena, your comments, please.
Yeah, definitely, yes. I think it's possible, and right now we are preparing this kind of a project here in Vojvodina for several municipalities. This is the public transport project, and we want to connect a few municipalities in Vojvodina with the same local providers. So to connect, for example, city of Vršac, Alibunar, etc. I think 4 or 5 municipalities to have only one provider of the public transport of passengers. So definitely yes, because I think it decreased the costs especially in preparing the project, and definitely it's more practical, and there is a lot of economic indirect benefits for the citizens when they have one provider, and they can use some, for example, new lines and I think cheaper transport if it is happened.
Thank you, Jelena. So overall, the answer is yes.
Yes.
As long as there is political will, and as long as the municipalities have the legal power to enter into these agreements with neighboring municipalities without the need for any legislative changes. So quickly, I know that we have like literally 7 minutes. So please, I want you to give a 1-minute answer to this question. In which sectors can small-scale PPPs be more successful? And since I have you on screen, Jelena, and I wanted to start with you. So in your view, which sectors?
Definitely energy. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
Energy sector, public lighting, public passenger transport. For example, you could see that we submit the project for this PPP forum. This is a very interesting project, disinfection, disinsection, and deratization in the municipalities. We prepared so far, I think 7 or 8, and they're implemented right now. So this is a kind of a small project, small scale projects that could be that are very fast to implement, to prepare, and to implement.
Thank you, Jelena. Let me move to Pedro next.
I would say I agree, definitely energy, but I believe housing is crucial, that we develop solutions for housing. It's easy, it's very profitable for both sides. And the other thing I would say is digital transition. Again, I think it's mandatory that we all focus on digital transition, especially in least developed zones.
Thank you, Pedro. Ekaterina?
Honestly, probably in any sector where you have clear long-term perspectives, sustainable service demand, clear standards, political leadership and commitment, that's it. And also the revenue potential is very important when you have this economic activity with the possibility to reduce probably the state or the municipal participation and to unlock the potential revenue for the private investor. It is more beneficial situation to use the PPP and probably social, urban, local infrastructure involving local investment communities. It's the perfect ground to apply the small PPPs.
Great, thanks. We only have literally 3 minutes, so I wanted to give you 30 seconds each, just if you have any thoughts, any ideas that you wanted to leave us with today. Starting with Ekaterina.
Nothing special. Probably everything is already mentioned and told by the colleagues, and the rule is that there are no unique experience which you can transfer or buy from another country. You always need to look at your mentality and your processes of your administration and your legal background and what are people willing to do and how the culture is communication and cooperation is developed, and you need to build your own case for the PPP.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ekaterina. Let me move now to Pedro.
I think
any final thoughts?
Thank you. I think the whole point is to design PPPs backwards. What does the people want? What is important for them? And how are we going to improve public service to make their life easier, more filled with prosperity? And I think that if we design PPPs to improve the quality of life rather than what are the assets that we are going to build, we are going to have a complete different impact.
Thank you. Last but not least, Yelena.
Okay, I can say that Serbia is going in the right way according to the PPP, of course. Thanks to, for example, to us as a consultant and expert for the PPP. I'm just kidding. But not just that, but Serbia made some amendment on the law on communal activities, and it obliged now the municipalities to entrustment the communal services, actual activities, to carry out their activities to the law on PPP. So I think this is a good way to oblige the cities and municipalities to implement the PPP projects. And for example, we have always, this is a case here in Serbia, that we have, for example, when one municipality prepared and implements one PPP project according to the PPP model, they always come back to us and they want some other communal activities to organize according to the PPP model. So we are happy to have that case here in Serbia.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank our exceptional panelists, Yelena, Pedro, and Ekaterina, for sharing your wealth of experience with us today, and your case studies, which varied in size and also in sector. Which gave an idea that small-scale PPPs can exist in many sectors. So with this, I wanted to, before I close actually the session, I wanted to remind us that today we had the second of 3 webinars dedicated on small scale. We started with one last time. It was last week, I believe. We had 3 today, and the next session will take place in 2 weeks' time, which is on 26th of April. at 14:30, so 2:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So please join us for the third and last session on on case studies. The program, of course, continues beyond the next session. It goes into the summer and then even afterwards into the autumn. So let me also thank the audience for having been with us today. And just to remind you that there is a recording of this session, and also that the slides will be shared and will be made available publicly as well. With that, thank you very much, and see you next time. Goodbye.
See you. Thank you.